Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth tutorial in the Ultimate Arduino Beginner's Guide series. In this tutorial we're going to look at how to turn on an LED using a button. Now, last time we were looking at potentiometers and analog reading. Now this might sound like it's really simple, but it's actually not. This is actually it's probably a bit more complicated because we're not doing it the simple way, we're doing it a harder way. We're not just doing it where you've got electricity running through and a button. We're going to write some code to do it. And then hopefully by the end of this lesson you'll have a good understanding of the Arduino code with variables and stuff like that. So let's have a look then. What you will need. So for today's lesson you will need an Arduino or clone, which is this, the Arduino Uno will do. A breadboard, you'll need a very small one. Jumper wires, an LED of any colour, and then a push button, which we haven't used before. You'll use them in so many projects. Okay, so now you need to wire up your components. Now, in the earlier wiring diagrams, they were a lot simpler than this. I'm going to explain to you what this is. So, let's have a little look. Let me just get a ballpoint pen. Well, we've got we've looked at in the past that the power pins are constantly sending out electricity. We've got 5 volts now going to this pin here. Okay. 5 volts, when this is pressed, will go to here and it will flow to 2. Okay. So look at that. So do that for a second. 5 volts going to this here. When the Arduino button's pressed, it goes into this pin and down to here to 2. Okay. Also, let me just change the colour to black. Here we've got ground. Ground is going down to here. It goes up the resistor to here. Then it goes to here. And like the other one, it goes down to here. Now the ground is constantly going to pin 2, okay? But 5 volts isn't. Now when we press the button down, 5 volts is. It's only when we press the button down that 5 volts goes to it. When 5 volts and ground are going to 2, 2 can sense that there's electricity going to it, and then it can act upon that and turn the LED on. Okay, so the LED is attached from pin 13 to ground. The push button is attached to pin 2 from 5 volts, and 10k resistor is attached to pin 2 from ground. Yeah, whatever. So, it's a bit cut off there. Okay, so this is the wiring diagram. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to pause it and wire up your Arduino in this way. So just pause the program. Okay, I'm moving on now. The code. Right, so last time we looked at integer variables. Now this is a constant integer variable. Now the difference between an integer variable and a constant integer variable is that they don't change. Integer variables can change as much as they like, but consonants won't. They will stay as the same thing. So they're used here to set pin numbers. So, constant button pin equals 2. Now if we go back to the diagram, the button pin is 2. It's here. All of the electricity from the button will go to here. Okay, so we've said that it's 2. We've declared it as 2. Now we've said that the LED pin equals 13. Let's go to the LED pin. It is 13. This leg is into the 13 one. Okay. The number of the LED pin. They won't change, they will stay there forever, and they are the numbers of the pins. Right, variables will change. So this is, like last time, an integer variable. Button state equals 0. Variable for reading the push button status. So this will change depending if the push button's pressed or not. Now, initialize the LED pin as an output. Pin mode, LED pin, output. If we go back to here, this LED pin. Outputs, we can decide whether we have electricity going through them or not. In this case, That's just with output. So in this case, we are going to have it go through when the button is pressed. So it needs to be an output. LED pin is 13, and we've just declared it as an output. Okay. Then here we've got pin mode, button pin, input. So if we go back to the wiring diagram, here, let me just get rid of all these annoying annotations I've made. Right. Number 2, this is an input. So, inputs can read whether there is electricity running through them or not. If the button's pressed, there will be. If the button's not pressed, there won't be. So, as we looked at before, the void setup, 2 brackets facing each other and an opening curly bracket followed by a closing curly bracket. So, this is the first bit of code. Then, let's move on to the next piece of code. Sorry if this is a bit pixelated. I've used snipping tool to get out of my Arduino IDE and it might have gone a bit pixelated. But okay, so the next part. Read the state of the push button value. This is a loop, so it runs forever. Button state equals digital read button pin. Okay, let's have a closer look at this code. Now, digital read we've come across before. We come across analog read at least. Digital read reads whether there is electricity going through a pin or not. Digital read. It reads the pin. Reads whether there is electricity going through that pin or not. And then button pin. Now we've said that button pin is 2. So, and then here, so it's reading whether this button is pressed. Because if this button is pressed, there will be electricity running through it. It's reading whether there is electricity running through it. And that's what button state equals. It equals whether the button state, basically. Right, next part. Check if the push button is pressed. If it is, the button state is high. So if button state equals high. Now this can be high or low, okay? So if button state equals high, button state equaling high means that there is electricity going into pin 2, which means the button is pressed. Turn LED on. Digital write. We've come across digital write before. Digital write can turn an output pin high or low. High, sending electricity out of that pin. Low, not sending electricity out of this pin. So digital write, LED pin high. The LED pin, we have said, is 13, like here. 13, this pin here. So, saying that 13 high, there's electricity going through 13. The LED is turned on. Okay. Else. Turn LED off. Digital write, LED pin low. It's the same as this one here. But it's turning it off if the button isn't pressed. And here's the finished code. So let's just go through it really quickly. We set the number of push button pin, we set the number of the LED pin, and then we declare button state and we say it's 0. Okay. We initialise the LED pin as an output, we initialise the push button pin as an input. Then we start a loop. Button state equals digital read button pin, so the button state is equal to whether the button's pressed or not, high or low. Then we check if it's pressed. If it's high, it turns the LED on, else it turns the LED off. Now we haven't come across if or else before. With if or else we need to have an opening curly bracket, a closing curly bracket, like here. So, here is 2 challenges to do. Oh, sorry. Right, I want you to copy this code into your Arduino IDE, please, so that you can do the challenges. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to pause it and write this code into your Arduino IDE. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now let's have a look at the challenges. You should have that copied into your Arduino IDE now. Challenge 1. Instead of running 5 volts through the circuit, run 3.3 and see what happens. Answer the question. And this is the question. Why does it happen? Challenge 2. Come up with your own way of changing the code and wiring it to have 2 LEDs going on and off instead of 1. This is pretty simple. So I haven't included a super hard one today because I couldn't think of one, but these are 2 challenges I want you to complete. Thanks for watching this Arduino tutorial. Be sure to watch my many other Arduino tutorials, and if you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, or whatever, to Arduino tutorials. And remember, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at unofficialarduinotutorials@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. And I've forgotten what we're going to be doing next time. Really? Well, okay, see ya.